Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Oduor Jagero, and this is Dialogues with Jagero. I am in the studio with Mr. Fanya Mambo. We are talking about the BBC documentary that is nicknamed Blood Parliament. Now, I watched the interview, and I felt it was very interesting. I then watched Mr. Alanamu with a gentleman breaking it down. So I want to ask you, what did you think about the entire video? But first of all, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm happy. It's an honor to be here. You know, there are like 50 million Kenyans.
Yeah.
You'd have had any other person in studio.
Yes.
So having me here is a humbling honor, and I'm happy to be here. And thank you very much. This is a big show. Tunasemanga hii ni show kubwa. So when we come to show kubwa, we have to show gratitude for it. What do I think about it? It's like asking me, what do I think about my mirror in the house? The mirror doesn't tell me what the manufacturer did. It tells me how I look like. If I have pimples, I have pimples. If I'm ugly, I'm ugly. If I'm tall, I'm tall. If I'm short, I'm short. This was a mirror put before us.
Yeah.
If you don't like the image you see there, go work on yourself. It's you who is the problem. It's not the mirror. If you bring something beautiful to the mirror, it reflects something beautiful. If you bring something ugly before a mirror, you get something ugly. So you don't start telling the mirror, oh, make my nose round, oh, add me beards. Kama una ndevu, una. That's where you are. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And if you don't have hair on the head, you don't have hair on the head. Stop blaming the mirror for how you look. Go and have a conversation with God, or have a conversation with yourself. If your shirt is dirty, go wash it. So you don't come and say that BBC is this or that. From where I sit, that whole episode was a mirror put before us, and we are being told, look at yourselves. So Kenyans who were demonstrating were seeing themselves. The police who were shooting themselves was shooting people were seeing themselves. The government that had sent the police was seeing itself. Parliament that had cordoned itself and was sitting there and passing bills against all that demonstration, they were looking at themselves. What BBC did is they came with a new mirror, very clean, and put it before us and told us, Angalieni TV.
When you say it was a new mirror, what do you mean by that? That it was
very clean. It was very polished. It was just a mirror placed before. You know, sometimes you can get a mirror that has cracks, then it mixes your nose with your beard. But this particular mirror was clean and fresh, and we were able to see ourselves in the mirror. For those who were on the streets, they saw themselves. I never had a Kenyan who said, hey, they took my image and put it in that demonstration and I was never in the demonstration. No, I never had a policeman who said, what am I doing in that demonstration, and I was never there. What is that lorry doing in that demonstration, and it was never there. That which was on the streets found itself in the mirror. That which wasn't on the streets did not find itself in the mirror. So we are looking at a mirror. The question is, are we the ones who are ugly, or we are thinking the mirror is the problem? Yeah.
We are going to get into the issue of what KJ, because that's what I think you're very passionate about, that you want to talk about what KJ said, and we will probably play it to the audience before you react to it. What sort of confused me about the video, and I think probably you also have a few input in as far as this is concerned, is that most of the videos that were put together and packaged by the BBC were there before. They were carried by the CNN, they were carried by KTN, they were carried by all these organizations. But if you look at the response the response that we have gotten from what the BBC has put together, it sort of looks like we have something new. It looks like do you think that this documentary is unique because they were trying to find the shooters, or why was the BBC documentary more, for lack of a better word, more unique than what we have seen before?
Speaker, this matter that has been brought to the floor by Honorable Bashir is a very critical national matter that we need to prosecute with sobriety as Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, there is no member who would rise on the floor of this House to support atrocities by any uniformed officer against our citizens. And in fact, We are not here to say whether the Kenya Army or the Kenya Defense Forces have done right or done wrong, because it is not in our place to judge them. However, Mr. Speaker, it is not lost to my mind that in the last parliament, Mr. Speaker, this House declined to assent to the renewal of the terms of service and the terms of training of the British Army Training Unit in Kenya, the Batuk. Mr. Speaker, when we refused to sign up and regularize Batuk's presence in Kenya, we took a hitting as a House, Mr. Speaker. But in this 13th Parliament, the Parliament has been able to pass that British Army Training Unit in Kenya can practice and train on our mother soil, Mr. Speaker. However, that was not without a rider. This House put a rider, and the rider was serious, Mr. Speaker. The rider was saying that there is no way that a British officer can end up committing a crime in Kenya and not tried in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the British Army Training Unit is known to have killed our people. They are known to have raped our women. They are known to have maimed our people. Mr. Speaker, they are also known for serious environmental degradation. And we understand, Mr. Speaker, even in media, that the BBC is funded by taxpayers' money in Britain, meaning that BBC is funded to push the foreign agenda of the British people internationally, Mr. Speaker. And so we must know, is BBC speaking as a mouthpiece of the government and the people of Britain? Or what is it that the BBC is doing? Could it be an attempt to untwist this country so that they can rescind on the rider that we put on their training of the Batuk units in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and perpetuate a history of extractive economy, oppressive economy, and exploitative economy in a very unfair trade balance between Kenya and the UK. Mr. Speaker, even as we debate this matter, it is not lost to us that yes, there were unfavorable events that took place in the time and the lead up to the finance bill. But Mr. Speaker, that is not what we are debating. We would like to know for a fact whether what BBC is hearing is connected to the riders that this House put on the training of the British Army Training Units in Kenya, where we were requiring that any officer of the British Army, if they are found here in Kenya to have killed, to have maimed, to have raped, they should be tried here in the mother soil, as it would happen even for a Kenyan if they were found guilty of a criminal offense in the UK. So that, Mr. Speaker, the issues are clear for Kenyans, because we know there are many issues that have happened in the UK, very many issues that have happened elsewhere, but they did not get the media presence that we are seeing being put on this issue of the Kenyan Defense Forces. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, that I do not speak this in defense of the Kenya Defense Forces. I speak this to frame the issues, so that even as we are talking about this issue, we know that there could be an interest that is an ulterior interest being pushed with these media reports, because I know as a media practitioner, there is never a news item that appears on a prominent media station that is an orphan. Any media item that comes up on a media station has its own father and it has its own mothers. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and let us look at the agreement that we put down for the British Army to be able to train in Kenya and on Kenyan soil, and the exploitation of our environment, the depletion of our environment, and the cases that we know of human rights abuses that are conducted by the British Army on Kenyan soils. The killing, the maiming, and the raping will not go unnoticed, and we will not keep quiet about this issue. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
First and foremost, I would like to address the person of John K.J. Kiarie, the MP of Dagoretti South, who happens to be my member of parliament. By the way, I do not have a choice. The people of Dagoretti South gave him the mandate to represent them. they did not give him the mandate to go and say nonsense in parliament. And there is a huge difference between the two. First and foremost, we as the people of Dagoretti South, and I say that because I live here and I have taken a lot of time to speak to people after what he said. And the people of Dagoretti South are saying, we do not associate ourselves with the sentiments of John K.J. Kiarie. BBC, on behalf of the people of Dagoretti South, we are sorry. What the member of parliament said does not represent the people of Dagoretti South. To the British citizens, because he kept saying the British citizens have funded BBC to push a British agenda, we, the people of Dagoretti South, are saying it in very, very clear terms that those words were not a representation of what we sent him there to do. And why we are saying that is, this is the same KJ who, during the heat of those demonstrations, said there were no demonstrators in towns. He's a photo expert, metadata. He said that what we saw were photoshopped images of people. There was no demonstration according to John K.J. Kiarie. The same person comes and abductions begin to happen. And young people have lost their lives and others have disappeared, never to be found till date. KJ goes on national television and the records are there. And he says on national television that those people abducted themselves, they found themselves in their girlfriends' houses. That is a lot of pain to the hearts of parents who have not traced their children to date. Now, the same member of parliament wakes up and comes and goes to parliament and now says that the British government has got an agenda that is a bad imperialist agenda against the people of Kenya. To the British High Commissioner in Kenya, we are sorry, as the people of Dagoretti South, for having elected a leader who would speak like that in public. The entire Dagoretti South population is saying we do not associate ourselves with that kind of thinking. That is not a representation of ourselves. It's a representation of our member of parliament plus his cronies who have sent him to say those things. So they are wrong, they are unacceptable, they are not good. What BBC did was place a mirror before Kenyans. And Kenyans were able to see what was happening. I wish the Honorable KJ was saying that they've placed in a policeman on the scene who was not there. They've placed in a truck that was not there. Like he was saying, Photoshop edited. The problem is everything we saw was true. Everything we saw there happened. And every item that was in that video, you know, they didn't even pick a coin and put it on the street. Which coin was not on the street in the first place? So KJ, you are out of order and you do not represent the people of Dagoretti South when you speak that carelessly about things that are very emotive to our people. And on behalf of the people of Dagoretti South, we apologize to everybody who may have been hurt by those sentiments of our leader coming and saying such things that are against the people of Kenya. They are against our national interests. They are even against our foreign policy as a country, because why are we fighting with the British government? This is BBC. The BBC is a very different outfit. The last I checked, it's a company limited. It's not, it's not, so wherever you are, KJ, you are out of order. And the people of Dagoretti South are telling you, please, next time, consult your people. You have not had a consultative meeting to ask them whether you should go and fight BBC, and they've told you yes. So that was out of order. BBC continue doing the good work. Place the mirror before us and let the people see themselves naked. Now I'm a parara and they don't look presentable. Yes.
Yes, and now on to my next question. The question that I asked you about, what makes this very... You talked about a clean mirror.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But there is... What is different between this documentary and what we have seen before? Because most of the videos they were giving us are those that they have taken from social media. They're giving us pictures that they have taken from Getty images, pictures that were there, everything that was there.
The difference between this and everything else is that this is a compilation.
Okay.
During demonstrations, those who were not able to go to the streets were seeing scattered images. This happened in Kisumu, this happened here, this happened here, this happened here. You would flip through channels.
Yes.
But this takes what was at the epitome of every other part of the country and puts it together. It's like a finals. You know, when you go to the finals, there are people who were running in different races. But now the best of the best have been picked and they've been put together. This was, I think, the most painful of the most painful, put together. And the government has a problem with that. And then we ask them, tell us where your problem is. Just tell us. Because if you are saying that you have, because actually you saw in the newspapers yesterday, they banned the screening of that on our mainstream media. They were not allowed to screen that.
The BBC had given them to the different channels to.
They would have, I mean, the channels would have wanted, but they had been warned, and it was on yesterday's Nation newspaper, actually on the front page, and even the Standard aired that the government had said that that's not going to be screened. But they are forgetting that this is the age of the internet. You cannot control TikTok, YouTube, and all the other spaces where this thing is found. And in progressive countries, when Trump makes a mistake, there's a video on the internet of Trump making a mistake. And there's nothing the United States of America can do to stop people from posting that. Why don't you do the right things and then people post you for doing the right things? You want to do a lot of nonsense, a lot of horrible things, commit crimes against humanity, make human beings disappear. And when that is aired, you blame the person who aired your bad manners. Who does that? It is you who committed atrocities against the people of Kenya. Why are you having a problem with the person who is shining the light on you when you're committing atrocities? Don't commit atrocities. Then people have got nothing bad to put about you.
Yeah.
They will only have to either put the good things you are doing or shut the heaven up and look for something else to air. And this is where this administration is going wrong. I wish they were saying that they have used AI to create funny things that don't exist, and out of that they are painting the government in bad light. But people find you relieving yourself in a public park. They take images of you relieving yourself in a public park, and then you say the guy who took images of you relieving yourself in a public park is a bad guy. You're the one who is bad. That's not a defecation area.
Yeah.
So this is what this administration is doing. You do all the wrong things, and then you blame those people who shine the camera on you for doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the question of there is a lot of blaming the government about the second shooter, who was an army officer. Do you have an idea of why the government had to deploy the army at the parliament? Because I think the police were able to do this work. Is it against the constitution to deploy the army, internally in the country?
First and foremost, legally, for you to deploy the army, the parliament has to approve. It needs for parliamentary approval. We do not know of parliamentary approval for the deployment of the army during that time. So that was a crime. That was wrong. That was illegal on the part of the government. And the reason why the army is never deployed is simple. Our army has not been trained how to use tear gas. Our army has not been trained how to use whips. Our army does not have police cells. Our army does not have training in how to present a civilian before court. You're therefore putting them in a place where they are completely and totally useless. Our army has been trained how to use the grenade, the bomb, the gun, the machine gun. All these are implements of murder. They are not implements of control of public. They are not. There is no way a grenade was meant to pacify people. It's a grenade. It will detonate on people's heads and you shall have,
Yeah.
So their training does not even allow them to be where civilians are. Their training is for them to go and fight people with weapons that are like theirs or worse. So when you place the army there, you put them in a very awkward position. In fact, the G3 rifle or the AK-47 is the smallest of weapons that an army man would have, and it's still an implement of murder. The rifle is not an implement of pacification. It's an implement for murder. And so you are placing before civilians men and women whose only training is on how to kill. Their training is not on how to be on the streets and to manage civilians, no. And even if they were to arrest civilians, where would the army take civilians? They do not have police cells. They do not have an occurrence book. Ile mnaitanga OB.
That's what OB means.
Yes, occurrence book. They do not. They don't. So what do you want the army guy to do? And then, even if they took you to a police cell and they were supposed to prosecute you before a civilian court, they have their court martials. What will they be doing in a civilian court with you? Maybe they don't even have a civilian ID like you. They use a military ID.
Yeah?
Yeah, they use a military ID. Yes, he's a military guy. There's a huge difference. That's why those guys were in the wrong place. And I don't blame the army guy who found himself there because he took orders. Whoever gave those orders,
You don't blame him?
no.
Do you think he was sent there to kill?
He was sent there to do what he was trained to do. And there's no army guy who was trained how to use a rungu. Yeah.
I know
none.
what you're saying.
Yes. He was sent there. That in fact, he was wondering why Simbona's in a grenade, because when they become many like this in a battlefield, grenade, then bombs, then there's something called multi-purpose machine gun. Yeah, pa, 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 pa. You shoot people, they fall like leaves. That's his training. So you've put him in a place where he becomes useless, and you actually are endangering his life. So it was wrong to have the army there. Yes.
Okay. The other question I want to ask you is, do you think the government, with all the machinery they have, they did not anticipate that this was going to look like this at the end of the day?
What machinery did the government need to quell the demos? And the answer is language. Just mobilize language and let language fight for you. I wish I was head of state that time, because I would have come to the young people and said, I am sorry. Don't go on. I have had you. I have seen the demos on Tuesday. Remember, this now happened on Thursday, the occupation of parliament. I have seen the demos on Tuesday. I am not going to force my way on Thursday. I will listen to you. You are our young people. If we make mistakes, we are building this nation for you. Let us have a conversation. There was a time when Minister Michuki, may he rest in peace, unfortunately, he had 1 ton socks. And he was an iron, he was very, they came, the media took that and they said, they were expecting a fight. Then he said, I am sorry, I made a mistake, I didn't know, now I have new ones. How do you fight such a guy? That story died. It died. I mean, Michuki has told you, I have news. And Nyakina Nyambane joked about it and they brought him socks. And he said, thank you and God bless you. How do you fight such a guy?
You cannot.
Yes. So it's the same thing. If the president had realized that the biggest weapon at the disposal of any leader is language, and you must mobilize language to fight for you.
Do you think
you must begin to put words together that will help you win hearts?
Do you think that President William Ruto and the people that he has brought together to work with him have lacked language over the course of the 2.5 years?
They are not working with him, they are stealing with him. Yes. They've lacked language. I mean, the other day I saw a minister telling young people that they are going to regulate the social media space. And he's blessed with hair like yours. They donated hair to him seriously. Some even put a landing pad and an airport on there and they drew aeroplanes. And that minister has not spoken about that again. There was another one who woke up and started threatening young people. Joho. Have you heard him speaking to young people again?
Yeah.
There was another one who is very flashy with watches and he loves expensive belts. They made a coffin for him and put watches there and belts and so. Have you heard that minister attacking young people again? You cannot win against these intelligent young people by trying to show them that you have power. What power do you have? They already showed you they can breach parliament. Nyuto tu nyumba twenyu tu munapitia na tugari tunapika hapa na sirens, sijui 2-3 cars. What is that to Gen Zs? They've only chosen the path of peace, which I always tell them is the winner path. The path of peace is the winner path. But let nobody lie to you that those, you have sirens and 2 cars. That's nothing. In the face of what's happening to young people, it's nothing. Just be nice to people. Be respectful to people. Show them that you have a human side and they will love you for free. Yeah.
I hope that you are enjoying that episode, people of the internet. Everybody says there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their own town, in their own city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call fathers, but there are no jobs, right? Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world and there is no one to do them. I have worked for a long time online, I think more than 10 years. I work for Americans, I work for Europeans, I work for the Chinese, the Australian, Canadians, the Ugandans, name all of them. And last year, I had a eureka moment. I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I have been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a book called Goldmine, 18 Side Hustles for Africans. And it sold a lot of copies. In fact, I was going for, sometimes I was receiving 500 orders in a day. In 2025, something happened. AI came. I think in 2025, AI came. AI came in 2024, but in 2025, it is here with us. And people say AI is taking away their jobs. And for me, I'll say false. There are actually AI jobs. Na mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. We now have in my book 25 online and offline side hustles that you can do anywhere in the world, whether you are in the village, whether you are in your small town, whether you're in a marketplace, whether you are in your house, you can do them. In this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance, drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I have made and lessons I have learned over 15 years in this online job market. You can become an executive assistant to busy folks in Europe, America, and Canada. You can also get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. There are many of them and they're in my book. You can also build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce without a shilling. You can also become an affiliate marketer or an online English tutor. And you can also do tens of AI jobs, and they're all in these books. If you have a job, that is fine, but I know around you there are so many people that are always looking for jobs and at home watching Netflix. Buy this book for your brother, for your sister, for your mother, cousin, husband, who is back at home all day, all night watching Netflix. Okay? Buy it for your friends. That friend who is always asking you for cash, you can buy this book for them. All the information is in the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or you can go to my website, which is oduorjagero.co.ke. The book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. Or if you're anywhere around the world, the book is $10. So thank you very much. Back to programming.
It's a bigger weapon.
Finishing this, I think that if you look at the events of that Thursday that has gone globally, and the government does not want to be mirrored again to them, the question that now lingers is that fire has sort of died.
What fire?
That demonstration, the fire.
No.
What really has happened? Because I think I have asked a lot of people about this, but they don't come up and say exactly what has happened and how what the Gen Z started is going on.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll explain this.
Yeah.
Even the damnedest of animals, the most foolish ones, they know when not to fight with the agents. Even the animals, the polar bears that have a lot of fur, they know when to hibernate when winter is very hot, when winter is very, very, very cold. Even the animals like the camels that were built for the desert, they know when not to fight with the sun. And those animals are not foolish. They would make their trips at night and rest during the day. Hibernation is not stupidity. It's not cowardice. It's not lack of strength. It's wisdom. And it's natural. Right now, we have a government that is on a killing spree, and they have proven. In fact, they are killing young people on an industrial scale. You know, the way Hitler came up with machines they were called gas machines for just gassing the Jews and killing them. He was looking for the fastest way. This administration has been looking for the fastest way to kill young people. And so, do you go and offer yourself when that is happening? That is not wisdom. What young people have done is what every normal creature does. There is a time to hibernate. When the agents are too much, when the sun is too hot, when the winter is too cold, what animals do is they hibernate. And they will wait for when conditions are ideal to come and do what needs to be done and to achieve what they need to achieve. In fact, they don't lay eggs during winter, because winter will kill those eggs. So human beings are the same. We are not going to lay eggs now. We are not going to do the things that they want us to do now. Because this administration is prepared to kill us on an industrial scale, and we are not going to offer them our lives. Because some of the people who are killing you are actually unworthy of living themselves because of the number of people they've killed. So you don't want to be killed by people who should have died before you. So what you do is you hibernate first. Number two, I keep saying this administration was ready for us. They are ready for our heads. They are ready for our legs. They are ready for our noses. They are ready for our noses. That's why they looked for the strongest tear gas. They have the best batons for our legs and arms and everything. They are prepared for our bodies. The one thing that this administration is not prepared for is the brains of young people. And the minute you throw your brains at them, they become confused. That's why there was this young man who was making some black cartoons. I don't know, they're called silhouettes or what they are called.
Yes.
He made so many of them, and it really irritated this administration more than the demonstrations on the streets. Another one, when 300,000 young people decided to write emails to a leader, world leader who was supposed to come here, it injured this administration. When young people decide to go to a function, Ngemi, and start singing Ruto Must Go, when young people decide to go for a football match and come back walking on the streets and singing Ruto Must Go, when they go for safari rally and they start singing Ruto Must Go, it injures this administration than when these young people are on the streets demonstrating. So we shall throw our brains at them because they are not prepared for our brains. They have not procured anything that can be procured by physical means that can suppress our brains. And that's why we shall go online. I did not like the idea of putting them in coffins, but it stopped them from the atrocities that they were committing. So I will say that those brains that conceptualized those cartoons, the brains that conceptualized the internet war, the brains that conceptualized silencing some of these ministers and putting them in coffins, those brains are still active. And they are capable of more innovation. They are capable of doing better things. So this administration should be prepared. Gen Zs are not bringing the war to the streets to you, no. But we will bring you this war in a way that you can't take it, because ours now is a mental game. And in terms of brains, you're not prepared for our games. So our brains are superb and they are good. It is the only thing for which you had not procured weapons, and that's what we are going to throw at you.
A lot of Gen Zs, a lot of political pundits are saying that these Gen Zs, at the end of the day, they will just fall on the tribal line when it comes to 2027.
Allow me to explain something.
Please do.
This is important.
Yes.
I want us to close our eyes. And I call it the room. The room. Kenyans need to understand about the room. And I'm about to get into that room. If you close your eyes and imagine the year 2000, Moi was sitting on this seat as president. In that room, Raila Amolo Odinga was there. In that room, Kalonzo Musyoka was there. There was Joho. There was this guy from Balala. There was the bulk of the leaders you see. And by the way, Wetangula was somewhere behind there. But he was in the room. Fast forward, Moi is not president, Kibaki is president, and now Kibaki is sitting here. Who are the people in the room? Raila was in the room, Kalonzo was in the room, Mudavadi was in the room, Wetangula had come closer, and so on and so on. But they were in the room. And Kibaki goes, and in comes Uhuru, and Uhuru is now sitting in here. Close your eyes and tell me who are in the room. Raila was in the room. Kalonzo was in the room. Mudavadi was in the room. Wetangula may have come even closer. And it goes on and on. The bulk of those people you see were in the room. And when Uhuru leaves, the person who sits on this seat is Ruto, who was part of the room. So he leaves his seat in the room and comes and sits here. And when Ruto is seated here now, Raila is in the room. Mudavadi is in the room. Wetangula is even closer. Kalonzo is not so far, but he could have been in the room if he wanted. What am I trying to say? The men who have sat on this seat, that is the presidency, have been in the room. And history has proven to us since independence that there is power and value in being in that room. And that's why I'm pleading with the people of Dagoretti South. Take me into that room. Because we are trying these other ways. And I am not saying that it is not possible to have somebody who is not in the room. I am just saying that history has proven to us that the men who find themselves in that room and the women who find themselves in that room stand a higher chance of sitting on this chair. So let us go into the room. And I'm telling these young people, there's 290 constituencies. If Ruto decides that he's going to be president by force, and we pray he doesn't become president in 2027, let us deny him 290 MPs. Offer yourself. I've offered myself for Dagoretti South. Offer yourself so that we first replace what they have to work with. And they wake up and they find that they have 290 that they cannot control.
I hear it's very easy
and
to
let's go to Senate.
Okay.
There's only 47 young people. Let us name 47 young people. Some are good. I don't hold brief for Sifuna, but he has stood on the right side of history. So we don't need to replace the few who are good. But I'm telling you, I would have offered myself for Senate Nairobi. But we have a good candidate. He's fighting well. He's doing the right thing for now. I pray he doesn't change. Why do we want to remove Sifuna? Why do we want to go into a battle with him? So I said, no, mahali kuna shida ni hapa Dagoretti South. I was born here. I was brought here. I live here. And our people need representation. Not this metadata, somebody telling us that the people are abducting themselves and taking themselves to their girlfriend houses. Yet we have parents who are crying that their children are gone. So that analogy of the room has to sink into the minds of Kenyans, and they have to begin to see that, yes, we want a new face, like we are saying Traore. But the chances of us doing that are not, they are slim. Musinichukue vibaya, I'm not saying it's impossible. The chances are slim. So what do? Let us declare war on parliament. How? By saying we are taking 290. And it's possible. In every constituency, the young people are more. Just identify one of yourselves, and mseme tunakufa na huyu, and give all your votes to them. Then let us see what they are going to do with when they have 290 strong that are changing this country, thinking differently, and I'm telling you it is possible. Twende kwa kiti ya MCA, there is 1,489 or 1,500 thereabout of them. And let us put them into those rooms. And it is possible. So don't just think of Ruto must go. What is holding Ruto is people like KJ, Kimani, Ishongwa, and all the others who are his praise and worship choir. And we must remove from him his praise and worship choir. There is no removing William Ruto without removing Ishongwa. You know, like somebody saying they want to remove Moi and retain Biwott. You can't do that. Removing Moi, in fact, it is better first to start by removing Biwott. Then you can remove Moi. Those agents that hold dictators in power must be removed first. And that's why I'm telling young people, before you tell us that it is possible to have a young president in 2027, and I'm not saying it's impossible, can you first prove to us that you're going to give us 290 young people to be members of parliament? Because when we do that, we've won the war.
How?
They won't pass finance bill. Can you imagine, out of all those thousands who were on the street saying no to finance bill, if we only choose 290 from those who were on the street, and finance bill comes in 2028, how many will pass a bad finance bill?
None.
It is that simple. You have won. You've taken over this country. Just 290 people. That's all I'm asking Kenyans for.
The practicality of it, Mr. Fanya Mambo, the practicality of it, because I hear that if you go by ODM, then whatever Raila says, that's what you guys have to do.
This is the most practical thing that will happen.
Yes. Yes.
This is the most practical thing that will happen, and I'll tell you why. You see, who was Salasia before these elections? Go check. He had a very normal, very low life, and he talks about it. He was the lowest of the lowest in his people. But they said tunataka, and I thank God. I mean, he's not an angel, but he's doing well. At least the people who voted for him are happy with him.
Are they?
Yes.
They're very happy.
Yes, they're happy with him. You try removing Salasia from that seat today. I hear he performs. Because
performs,
we listen, yes. We listen, he performs. So, unojo mgala muwe na haki yake mpe. I don't want to be this young person who is fighting young leaders. Salasia, wherever you are, we listen to your people and they're happy with what you are doing for them. You might be having a happy life here in Nairobi. They're not judging you.
I think what you should also talk about is the issue of chama.
I'll tell you this.
Yes.
Chama is good, chama is important, and it will carry some waves here and there. But when the human spirit is faced with adversity, it always makes the right decision. Just take a human being and compress them into a space of adversity, and you will see they'll do the right thing. There's something called idiots. Last time I told you about idiots.
You did not.
Yes.
Maybe you spoke.
I told you about. No, here we talked about idiots, and I told you that there are too many, and sometimes they vote for one of their own.
Yeah. I remember.
But there's something else I also want to tell you about idiots, because I have taken time to study the study of idiots. Actually, if there was a master's or PhD in idiocy, I would cover.
Why don't you background it a little bit before you tell me about it? Background on the idiot, what the study that you've done about.
Yes, like now.
Yeah.
Idiots somehow have a way of giving you similar results. One, you see, like the way you have organizations like Law Society of Kenya, KMPDU for doctors. Idiots don't have a society. In fact, they don't have a collective bargaining body. But an idiot in Mombasa will do what an idiot in Kisumu and an idiot in Kakamega will do without them having had a prior meeting to agree. They are so competent in their idiocy, they all give you similar results. And that is the most amazing thing about a society that allows idiots to make decisions for them. And that is why we need to spend a lot of time talking to those people who are within our societies, who carry the mentality of an idiot, but they whip so many other people into working with them, into voting other fellow idiots into power. When you hear brokers, people, watu wamesoma, wako na akili mingi, alafu wanakujanga kuuliza mjinga fulani kwa mtaa, tunachagua nani? And those brokers are the ones leo wanachukua pesa yako, ukitoka wanachukua ya huyu, ukitoka wanachukua huyu, they are very greedy. So let us try this time round to have independent thinking. And it has to be independent of those idiots helping us to make decisions. I am one person who speaks directly to the voter. And I usually tell him where he's going wrong. And I'm going to say 2027, party is good, but party is not everything. Let us have that at the bottom of our minds and hearts. Party is good, but party is everything. And where party gives us an idiot, we will say no and vote because we have the alternative of having independent candidates.
Do you think that the party has been giving us a lot of idiots in Kenya?
Oh,
and now,
yes.
Can you come closer and say this in English, the idiot thing, the figurative language that we've been using about idiots? Who are these idiots?
I'll tell you this. Any person who goes to parliament and speaks contrary to what the people who sent him, then that person is an idiot. And any person who goes to parliament and passes a bill that is seen to oppress the people who voted for him, then that person is an idiot. And any other person who goes to parliament and finds themselves singing the choir of the executive instead of singing the song of the voter, then that person is an idiot. And so you can think of the very many that we have who fit in those brackets. Yes.
I want to ask you a question. I want to circle back to some of the people that you've mentioned by name, because I remember KJ when he was a comedian, correct? It looked like a good person. But something usually happens when people go to parliament. And I want you to give an opinion on what exactly happened. Because when you say, Nani, tell somebody, people are making noise out there. I
wouldn't say your name, please. Staki masosa mimi. Si mzungu. Just the cup.
Yes, the cup, yeah. Sijui nani anapiga kelele huko.
Yeah, I like it hot. Yes.
Mwambie asipige kelele. Yes. I was asking you the question that, yes, you are telling us that we need to get 290 people. But we also know that hapo awali, we have been, like, for example, one of the people that has been talked about a lot is Muhammad Ali, yule wa Mombasa. that people thought that he was going to make a very, very good MP. And then when he went to Parliament, the spirit of idiocy that he talked about, you know, vile Waswahili wanasema amepakawa pepo, you know. So ni pepo gani huko ndani yenye hata wewe ukienda huko tukikutuma huko, kwa sababu see I'm supposed to be because I live along Wanye Road. See, I'm in your area.
In this constituency. Kwanza acha nikuombe kura live.
Yes.
Sawa, thank you. Tuendelee.
I wanna give you that vote. It would be the first time that I'm voting.
Yes.
In 4 voting seasons.
Yes.
I want to vote in 2027 again and put my name somewhere. So what happens when somebody looks like a very good person like yourself, and then you go in there and Ruto anakupeleka pale nyuma ya tenda na kupea pesa, alafu sasa wewe unaanza kuongea kama kiare.
First and foremost, there is no scientific research that has been done to establish and explain what usually happens.
Yeah.
But I tend to think in my mind, you know, there are 2 snakes behind the speaker's chair.
Okay.
I wish they had
There are 2 snakes, you've seen them.
Yeah, just look at the speaker's chair. And even in the old parliament. And when they moved to the new one, I hoped they would not put those 2 snakes. And
then they did.
They are there. And
maybe they just moved the chair.
No.
The entire chair.
I asked myself, why not doves? Why not pigeons? Why hata si wangeka kuku, ile kuku tunazoea nyumbani?
Yeah.
Or even a dog, because a dog is faithful. But just look at the speaker's chair. Google right now, you'll see there are 2 snakes that look like this. So I don't know whether those are the reasons, but we've had men and women of valor who've gone to those places and they have refused to take bribes. And we are seeing them all over every other day. Right now, where I stand, with the kind of war I have fought against this administration, and with the kind of, because very many people now have gotten to know Fanya Mambo because of what I stand for. Do you think I have not received offers for money? Or do you think I have not been threatened? Imagine, without the mandate of the people of Dagoretti South, I have refused to be bribed. Without their mandate. Yani, hawajanipea kura. Like right now, if I was given money, I would go eat and fatten myself. And I would ask people, nani alinichagua? Munaniuliza maswali kwa nini? But I have refused. Because I feel I owe a duty to Kenyans to speak the truth. Why then would I want to go and be bought when I already have mandate? I don't earn for what I do. I am a living sacrifice. The amount of money I spend on fuel alone in a week, just from one media house to the other, is just too much.
I can imagine.
Yet, I am not remunerated for that. And when I am getting offers to abandon this ship and go and become a praise and worship choir singer for those horrible leaders, I decline. Yet I do not have the mandate of the people. How much more faithful would I be with their mandate? The threats, the intimidation, I mean, we are all living in this country. Everybody who has spoken about this administration can tell you how Subarus look like. Na vile inagurumanga ikiwa na mafuta ikikaribu, unasikianga vum vum, unajua bas. The need to go to the washroom comes immediately, even if you had gone 5 minutes ago, just by seeing that Subaru. So those things have happened to all of us. And without mandate, I have chosen to continue fighting for people. Why then would I go and sell my soul when I already have their mandate? If saina skianga, yani like I would be guilty if I betrayed the people who believe in my cause and the cause I fight for. I would be guilty. Without mandate, how much more guilt would I carry when I have mandate? I think it's about morals. When I look at the persons like now Orengo right now where he is, and Sifuna, and you're seeing what's happening, and Anyang' Nyong'o, don't you think they would want to be singing praise and worship like Junet Mohammed and the others? But they have absolutely and literally chosen to do the right thing and to stand on the right side of history. And I pray that they don't jump ship.
Me, I've got so much to say about the 2 gentlemen that you've spoken of, Mr. Nyong'o and Mr. Orengo. I think Orengo is taking a stand too late in the day. When the day is ending and we are seeing the sunset years of his political life. I wish that Mr. Orengo had stood his ground earlier on when we really needed him, because you remember Mr. Orengo stood against Raila and told him that I don't want to be your minion, and he was cast aside and he was in the dark for 5 years. and he came back, akanyenyekea, akapewa kila kitu that every woman that nyenyekeas get from Raila Odinga. But then I think that what has happened with Orengo is that Orengo has been a choir master of Mr. Raila Odinga for quite a long time. And now that he's known very well that I'm a spent force, I have done everything imaginable in this country. I have been a governor twice. So now I can stand on my feet. And you see, that is the same problem that we are going to have with young people like Mr. Kiarie. If they decide to sing their choirs when they're young and energetic, and then when they're old and they're spent cartridges, they come back to the table and say that now I'm standing on my 2 feet and I can do whatever I want to do. And that is why I agree with you very much when you talk about Sifuna. I agree with you at a very high level when you talk about Mr. Babu Owino. But when we talk about Orengo and Nyong'o, I step 2 steps back and say, how was they wameturudisha nyuma? Lakini sasa, they have gotten what they have gotten in life. They know that they are going nowhere anyways. Now they are coming to stand their ground. I wish one of those young Luo MPs from the lake would come and do what Orengo is doing right now. It would make a very big difference. And I think it feeds into what you have been saying about us standing up for who we believe in, about those young people standing up for what they believe in, and then taking the people that they want, the young people, to parliament and making a change.
No, I think let us be fair.
Okay.
You see, Orengo comes from a place where there's a guy called Salasia who stood up and said that Baba is misleading them. Yeah. Alichapwa Nyayo Stadium. And the people who beat him did not even need Baba's permission. I don't even think Baba was aware that they are beating him. No. These guys have decided that anybody who speaks about Baba, it's our sole cardinal, I think, holy responsibility to beat them up. And then they don't have a meter for measuring whether you've been beaten enough. They can beat you until you die. You know, I wish they had a beatometer for just measuring the beatings, and then they know this is enough. But what am I trying to say? James Orengo, the day he said no to Baba, he lost his seat.
Yeah.
And he knew that saying no to Baba was not an option, at least in Luo Nyanza.
Yeah.
And even now, he knows, like now, if James Orengo stood up and said and bad things about Baba, you know what would happen?
They could even impeach him.
They will impeach him and also beat him physically. And they will not have been sent by anybody.
Yeah.
So when you have people who think like that, and people who would beat you for expressing your opinions in as much as your opinions are valid and right, then you can't blame James Aggrey Orengo for the things he has done. I think he has tried, in the light of the circumstances of where he's coming from and his background, because wale watu watamchapa too for just saying that Baba has misled them. Number 2, you know there's something called PTSD, post-trauma stress disorder, PTSD. Sometimes you might go through a trauma inakupea stress, especially these people who like now who covered maandamano, you know, when you go to. So I think some people need the counseling after they've gone through certain things, and maybe even people who do theater, acting, you know, you might act somebody for so long and then you behave like that person.
Yeah.
In as much as sometimes I fight my honorable MP KJ, sometimes I think about, you know, he acted Kamovo for a very long time.
I didn't know where that was going. I didn't know where that was going, my brother.
And he used to say, chochoto utasema Baba, ni kweli Baba. You just watch ridiculous. There's a high likelihood that it got to him. And there's a high likelihood that maybe we needed to have cancelled him after he left and he became MP. Maybe he's just acting out ridiculous. Now he's saying Ruto is Baba and now he's Kamovo. And literally, by the even height twice and everything, nikipara tu hana kama ya Kamovo, but ananyoanga sana. So I sometimes want to excuse him and say maybe acting out Kamovo too much may also have affected the way he's now today, and then maybe he sometimes goes into that character and then he comes back, you know.
Yeah.
I think he suffers from those seizures once in a while of finding himself in the character of ridiculous and then now coming back and saying, wait a minute, I'm now MP. So in as much as we judge him, let's not judge him very harshly. Wakikuyu sema unapiga mtu kimrudisha
Sema
na
kwa
nyumbani.
Kikuyu.
Ehoragwo.
I like it.
Ehoragwo igicokagio na mushie.
Meaning
Tumpige tukimrudisha na nyumbani. Unajua like hata mkikosana na bibi yako, you don't fight her in a way like you're trying to chase her. You're fighting her in a way that you're still trying to bring her home. Even your child, you don't beat your child in a way that shows he can go to hell. You're beating her, but eventually you want him to turn around and come back and know that this is his home and is being disciplined. So in as much as we also tell him not to say the things he said on BBC, I think let us also remember that maybe it's a once in a while he suffers from, you know, the Kamotho character, that then he comes in real life, then he realizes, we are not in ridiculous. So, and he's doing it so well, the same way he acted it out. So I sometimes want to excuse him and have that excuse for him. You can even make an excuse for a friend. Yeah.
Can I ask you something
Yes.
as we finish?
Yes.
By the way, this is about you personally. What does our constituency in Dagoretti here look like, and what are some of the things that need to be changed?
I will say this, and I want it to be understood very well.
Okay.
I am not vying for Dagoretti South so that I can come and change the lives of the people of Dagoretti South. I think I need to repeat that. I am vying so that I can go to the National Assembly and make national decisions that will affect this country positively, regardless of where you are. I'll give you one example. I was the first Kenyan to fight very, very, very strongly against bursaries. And people thought I'm mad. Until I got to explain how the MCA has a bursary and the senator and the MP and all the way to the president. And I remember Karongo Adhangwa picking it up, the senator for Kiambu, and raising it in Senate later. And it would find itself on the floor of Parliament on the 27th or 23rd of August 2024. And the Speaker of the National Assembly would give directions that we have a national conversation about bursaries. It was to be discovered that 104 billion goes into bursaries every year. But the amount of money we allocate to both the free primary and secondary education per year is 27 billion.
Really?
So this rubbish and nonsense you call bursaries that makes people queue for 5 hours, 6 hours, with an MP as a demigod giving people checks of 3,000, is one thing that if we have rational thinkers, we can scrap today. If this 104 billion is enough to educate our children for how many years? 5. About 25 times 4. 4 times. So this money that we give in bursaries, if we were to pour it into our schools, we would make education free in this country.
I think you need to explain this issue of bursary properly.
So that's why...
Because, can you explain it properly?
This is what I am saying.
Yes, because I am not understanding it properly. You talked
Nairobi,
about the MP having it, the...
Nairobi governor
allocated
845 million to bursaries. Ndio alipatia ma MCAs wakapeane. Na kuna yake pia. Uki-add close to $1 billion from the Nairobi County alone goes into bursaries. There's a county that allocated 400 million. I had those statistics.
Okay.
But when you add the total monies, and I'll call them monies, ya MCA, ya governor, ya senator, ya nani, that goes as bursaries all over the country, it's more than 100 billion per year. The amount of money that the Ministry of Education is allocating to free primary education is about 17 billion. The amount of money that we are allocating to free high school education is about 10 billion. So we are here allocating a total of 27 billion into free education. Then we are taking more monies and giving to some small politicians to become demigods so that they can make you queue and they make you feel like they are helping you. But ni ile pesa yenyu ilikusanywa, badala ya kupelekwa kwa mashule, ikapelekwa kwa kitu inaitwa bursaries. Ndio ikuwe inapeanwa na politician who is a small god. Tumeelewana? So if we remove this bursary, this 100 billion, uongeze kwa ile 27 billion, education will be free in this country.
Totally.
That's why I want to be MP for Dagoretti South. Because you can come and with one sweeping decision, you save a country in excess of 50, 60 billion. That is better than being given CDF of 100,000 ukuje kujengea watu classroom, wakupigie makofi umejenga classroom. That a baby can do. Those are small brains. Nilijenga classroom, nipigieni. Shame on you. If our standard of leadership is a man who can build a classroom, then we have a very low standard. Because a guy who dropped at class 8 can build classrooms.
Yeah.
Our standard of leadership should be things like what I'm telling you now. Look at these things. Like this country, sometimes you look at how we do things and you feel bad. What has stopped us, for example, from cleaning our country in one day? What?
Misuse.
I wanted to come up with a law in parliament called length of plot.
Length of plot.
Yes. Unaona kwenye unaishi hapo
Yes.
nje. From where the gate starts to where it ends. We just say that from today, Kanjo will not collect money for cleaning. Your gate from here to here, that area is yours. You can clean or you can hire somebody. Ama mnashikana ploti 5, mnalipa mtu mmoja awaklinie hapo.
Everybody to clean their front yard.
The front yard. How long would it take for everybody to clean their front yard?
A day.
Haven't we cleaned the whole of Nairobi? Even where your business is. There are so many businesses, mtu anarukanga uchafu akiingia kwa duka yake. Kwa nini? Kanjo inafaa kuclean hapo nje na ikujange kuclean. So if you came up with a law like that, you would clean Nairobi in one day. The whole city. The whole of it. Because everywhere you are, there's someone. So you just need a few members of staff of Kanjo to come and inspect whether people are cleaning their areas. And that creates even a lot of employment. Because munaweza shikana neighborhood, like 10 houses, you hire one young person. And you tell that young person, every morning you wake up, this is your area. But they'll never be dumping. If you clean outside of your gate.
And they will be the one looking for people dumping.
Yes.
Saying, you, nakuona.
So I have billions of simple, practical, like that idea. How much will it cost the country? So I am not coming to tell you we are going to do huge. We just need to realize. And I tell Kenyans, one day, I woke up and I want to mention that station because it closed. I went to look up TV and I was angry. And I said, why are we paying First Lady's money? They told me, oh, we used to pay Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's wife. Why are you talking now that it's Ruto's wife? Then I broke it down. And I remember telling Kenyans that the wife of William Ruto is getting 700 million. And the wife of Rigathi Gachagua then was getting 700 million. And the wife of Musalia Mudavadi was getting 500 million. It was not sinking in the brains of Kenyans. So I told them, I want you to take the image of a city hopper driver. And I want you to tell me, when you are employed to be a city hopper driver, does city hopper pay your wife because you are a driver for the city hopper? If you are employed today to be a school principal, does the school or TSC pay your wife because you are the headmaster of Alliance High School? They said no. Then I told them, why are we comfortable paying the wives of people that we elected, yet we never elected their wives? And it sank in the brains of Kenyans. By dint of those statements, I started seeing TikTok clips. And the next thing we knew, finance bill was coming. And I remember the head of state pronouncing himself about this issue and saying that Kenya is now not going to give their wives 700 plus 500. We were spending 1.9 billion on 3 women in this country.
3 women. When you say it like that,
it is true.
It sounds
they are. They are not.
Yeah,
women.
they're women. Yeah,
so
but
what
yes,
am I
yes.
trying to say? That Fanya Mambo, even if I was to stop it now, show me another Kenyan who has saved this country 1.9 billion. My fight is not in vain. Show me one who's now saved this country. Hata ama MP wanangojea. This is what is given to 19 constituencies. Each constituency gets about 100 million for CDF. Hiyo ni inajenga hizi madarasa ma MP wanaringa nazo hapa. So why do I want to be MP for Dagoretti South? Because when we bring such things to
do you think this one should also go?
Can you imagine
100 million?
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
When we saved this 1.9 billion, if this government had brains, all the constituencies in Nairobi get about 1.9 billion combined, all of them. Because it's about 100 million per constituency, and there are 17 of them. That is what you are giving to 3 ladies. First lady, second lady, third lady, I don't know which lady, of prime cabinet secretary and constitutional position, getting 500 million just because she was married to a person we voted for. So when I say that I'm looking to be MP for Dagoretti South, it's so that I bring to the floor of house issues that are not your kawaida issues. Nyinyi mmezoea mtu anakuja hapa kuambia nimejenga classroom, nimewajengea laboratory, nimewajengea choo. That is a very low standard for leadership.
Is that so?
If you are looking for a person to build for you toilets, that is a low standard for leadership. I am bringing to you an MP who will come and by dint of their conversation, save this country 1.9 billion. And that's what's going to 19 constituencies.
Do you think that there is a lot of wastage in this country?
Are you asking or are you answering? The president was in China the other day. At first, they said they've signed things worth 16 billion. Then they realized the pesa in eBianco eCitizen now one night. You know, there's a time we lost 15 billion on eCitizen, and it was all over the papers.
Yeah.
So they decided to tell us that we got 100 billion from the Chinese deals. My friend, this is what was stolen in one night. The Auditor General told us what? 104 billion was spent to buy a system for SHA. An amorphous thing you can't touch was bought for... It is the Auditor General telling us, not me. And it was all over the papers. 104 billion. Why steal 104 billion, then go and borrow 100 billion from China?
They said it was investment, not borrowing.
Nithi.
They said it was investment.
Wamesema Nithi Bridge. Wanataka kujenga hiyo area.
Walisema ni borrowing. They said it is investing, not borrowing.
Which one? From China?
Yeah, China.
No, we are going to pay. There is no free lunch. Oh, my friend, there is no free lunch. China likes us so much. They are married to us. No. And by the way, when the head of state leaves Kenya to go to China, and he sends his deputy to Uganda, it tells you we have a bottom-up economy. Our biggest trading partner as a country is Uganda. Google. We earn more from Uganda.
You're eggs.
Than we shall. No. Look at trade between Kenya and Uganda.
Yeah.
We earn more from trade between ourselves and Uganda than we can ever get from China in 5 years.
Oh, really?
Oh, Uganda is our biggest trading partner. If I was head of state, I would send Kindiki to China and go to Uganda. If Museveni calls Ruto should go there running. Because the day Ugandans will decide to start moving their stuff through Tanzania, ndio mtajua hamjui. Uganda is Kenya's biggest trading partner in the whole world.
Uganda is to us what China is to the United States.
My friend, Uganda is our biggest trading partner. Go and check. Kenyans, and then muangalie. Museveni akiwaita munaenda na heshima. Si kukimbia na huku China na tu country twingine hapa sijui tunaitwa sijui.
UK sijui.
No. Uganda is our biggest trading partner. So let us be
Kuna kitu
cautious.
liko unaandika hapa. Sijui kama umesahau.
Nithi. Tulienda kuomba 5 billion ya kujenga Nithi.
Yes.
Now, Nithi Bridge, 5 billion. You know.
Yeah.
You come and bring Sudanese rebels to KICC. They were called SPM or they were called what? Wherever they are. I wouldn't even want to know them. They are rebels. Why would I want to know their name? Rebels! Then, because of bringing these rebels, Sudan is angry with us. And we lose 5 billion worth of tea business between Kenya and Sudan.
We did?
Yes, our tea is stuck in Mombasa. And Sudan has come up with a very tough statement. And, you know, you don't understand what that means. Let me explain to Kenyans. Si munajua kuna watu walikuwa wanasema pwani si Kenya.
Yes, I remember.
Na kuna wengine walikuwa wanajiita matakwei. Sijui.
Yeah, muliwachapa.
Land Defense Forces.
Muliwachapa sana hao.
Now, can you imagine? These guys who are saying pwani si Kenya, they go to Sudan. They are received at the KICC of Sudan. Rebels, or even Mongiki and Chinkururu, and Baghdad boys. And then they are told to sign a charter in Sudan that they have formed a parallel government of Kenya inside Sudan. They have formed it. They make a charter there. How do you think that the Republic of Kenya would feel about that? Matakwei or Saboat Land Defense Force, sasa wamesema wameform a parallel government.
That is terrible diplomacy.
Now that's what Kenya has done to Sudan. We have mutilated I wish there was a stronger word. Our relationships with Sudan. And KJ is now mutilating our relationships with Britain by saying that they have an agenda that they are pushing by just telling
Did he
us
say the
truth.
agenda? Why is it that they're always talking about an agenda?
I want to quote him word for word. He said that they are pushing the British government agenda on Kenyans.
Yeah, what
an
is
agenda
it?
of neo-colonization and an equal, I don't know, trade, whatever. A lot of English that says we are creating a war that we never needed to create with another state. As far as I'm concerned, we may have been colonized by Britain. Na KJ ukienda kupiga Waingereza utumie Kiswahili, you can't use their language to fight them.
Yeah, KJ ni America.
we may have been colonized by these people. But right now, do we have a good relationship with them? Yes. Have they insulted us? No. Have they abused us? No. Have they disrespected our territorial integrity? No. Why are we picking up a fight with them? So when you borrow 5 billion to build Nithi Bridge, just realize you've lost 5 billion per year worth of tea exports times 5 years. Oh, he's going to be there for another 2 years. So you've lost about another 10, 12 billion worth of tea exports to
This Nithi Bridge, why is it?
on your way to Meru. Wewe unafaa utembee Mount Kenya. Ujaenda Meru?
Nimeenda.
Kuna bridge moja pale inakuanga mambo bad.
Where the trailers were usually overturned.
Yes.
I see.
Yes,
it's,
it's a black spot.
Yes,
So
I was
many
there
li-
when a driver overturned
yeah,
there.
Yeah, so many lives have been lost there. But when you hear yourself 60 years after independence, you need another country to build a bridge.
It is depressing.
Yeah.
And shameful.
So
I think our government has done.
And by the way,
our governments have done very shameful
by the way,
things.
our total debt, we owe more internally than we owe externally. Yeah? We owe our banks more. I'm telling you, if they had sat with 2 banks, just told them we are looking for 5 billion, 2 local banks, naambie tujenge, our banks can see, hata wako na branch hapo, waambue ni kama for example Equity, I don't want to market a bank, but whatever bank, waambue they need to pay me.
Let's just talk about Equity.
I'm value.
Equity is a good bank.
Yes. If they were to set up, where Nithi Bridge starts? It goes, they tell them, give us 5 billion, build a bridge here. Now create an Equity bank here. And just put a toll station here. Every evening, you collect here, put it in this branch. They would give you that money in the morning.
They will give you in the morning?
You don't need to go to China to build Nithi Bridge. Talk to Equity, talk to Family Bank, talk to any stable bank, even KCB. Tell them, here is Nithi Bridge. Just at the end of it here, just put up a branch here. There's a town here. Put up a branch here. Put up a toll station here. Will allow you to collect money for 10 or 15 years. That's what they do with everybody who takes a loan. You're given 5-10 years to pay. So it is a specific loan. It is for this bridge. And there's no law against that. As long as it is done competitively and banks are told to bid. So why take a flight all those hours to China to do something that a bank can do? Simple. Hapo tu Nithi. You can even see it. From here, your money is not so far.
But
at the end of the road.
Let me ask you, when they walienda kuzika Pop, mbona walikuwa wanatembea kwa street ni kama hawakuitwa?
Are lost.
What do you mean?
While asking for pin. Let me just explain it this way.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on international affairs and diplomacy.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you are hosting 250,000 people? Because at the Pope's burials, there was about 250,000 people seated. And then somebody who had not made prior arrangements that they are coming, somebody who had sent a representative comes. What do you do?
That's what happened.
Yes, he had sent Wetangula to represent him.
Okay.
I don't know whether he went to supervise how Wetangula is representing him.
But some of these things that you guys do as Kenyans.
Because if I can assure you, the Italians, the Roman Catholic Church, all those people, they are very good on protocol. Any leader who made known their intentions to travel beforehand, they will provide you with protocol. They will make arrangements and say the president of Zimbabwe, regardless of where Zimbabwe is on the map,
Yes.
has been received and accorded the dignity and respect of a president.
Okay.
So to me, I tend to feel like it was an afterthought landing there. And that's why they were there. They don't have their bodyguards. They looked stranded. They were having conversations on the streets. They were having a suit and tie on a Saturday on the streets of Rome, and people wondering, who are these Africans?
It was looking really bad, right?
Yes. So I feel that sometimes some things we do are not necessary. Where was Samia Suluhu? At home. Where was Museveni? At home. Where were the African presidents, the bulk of them? At home. Where was our president? China, then Rome. Next, I don't know where. Unajua jinsi walikuwa wamefanya ache kuzurura, then I don't know what happened.
Walikuwa wanamuita aje.
Majina mingi. So all I would say is this is the kind of thinking we want to introduce. And I have an appeal to all Kenyans out there. If you know a guy who votes in Dagoretti South and you think I am making sense, please call our people in and just tell them, you guys don't know what you have. You don't know who is offering himself to be your leader.
I think it is high time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll appeal to Kenyans because I have a lot of people who love me and follow me, and I thank all of them. Wherever you are, ingia tu kwa simu yako. Tumia mtu wako Dagoretti South message, umwambie, you guys, please, zile makosa munafanyanga haki, not this time around. This guy is different. This guy has what it takes. Sisi yenye tuko nje, because the bulk of people out there love me so much. Sisemi watu wa Dagoretti South wanipendi, but kuna wachache wenye wako kwa hiyo category yenye tunajaribu kusaidia so that their mind comes to the level where they're able to understand that there's a difference between what I am saying and what those people who are there are saying. You have set the standards too low for an MP. That your MP is a guy who comes and builds classrooms. Now I'm telling you that's a very low standard. That your MP is a guy who comes and gives you checks. Did you know you can literally train a monkey to stand like this and just dish out checks? You can. A monkey, you can do that. Please don't hire into positions where brains are needed a human being to do what a monkey can do. Parliament is a position for brains. Hire into parliament brains. Hire into parliament transformative people. And this is what we are asking for across the country. The 290. Let us make it our solemn duty. And finally, I saw this big picture. Kuna picha imekuwa inazunguka ya Kalonzo Musyoka. You saw that picture with Rigiji, and all political leaders have come together, including Matiang'i.
AI your picture?
No, AI. They did meet yesterday, and Martha Karua, they did meet. They did meet. And people started saying, hey, same old folks, there are no young people. I said, there is no young person because there is no young person who went there. Nani alienda akafukuzwa?
Lakini sini hao walijipigia simu wakasema, si walijipigia simu wakasema wewe kuja,
tell you for free.
Wewe kuja. Kuna mtu alisema kitu hapa kabla hujaendelea. Kuna mtu alisema kitu hapa ya kwamba there is a time that Morara was asked to come and he was not even introduced in one of Gachagwa's big meetings, strategy meetings. Yeah.
I'll tell you, well, the person of Morara is a different person altogether. But I feel that young Kenyans, we are needed at that table. And we need to walk into that table. I will walk into that table. That's a promise. And the reason I will walk into that table is because from where I sit, what does Fanya Mambo have that he can use to fight against this administration? Mimi hata gari yangu inakosanga mafuta na ni gari mzee. But we are looking at a team of very capable people in terms of resources, in terms of understanding statecraft. Because there's a way states run. There's a way things are done. There's a way, things happen in a country. Why don't we find ourselves in that room? And why don't we find ourselves influencing the way they think? They are desperate to have young voices. I can tell you. Hakuna mtu wajiulizangi Gen Z. Wakimaliza, I'm sure, hata kama siku kwa hiyo mkutano, wakiongea wanaulizanga, alafu Gen Z wataingia aje. Same way you are asking how those people will end up being our leaders. They are asking, how can we even have a Gen Z in the cabinet we are going to form?
Thank you very much, Mr.
So let us do this.
There is something that is very interesting about what you've talked about, the bursary and the mismanagement of funds in this country. I think we should talk about it next.
Yes, we will. Why not? Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, people of the internet. That was Fanya Mambo. We started with the BBC, the Blood Parliament. Mr. Fanya Mambo had very passionate words for his area representative. And he has been quite honest. And we have explored a lot of things around the issue of Blood Parliament. And so thank you very much for tuning in to Dialogues with Jagero. Please consider subscribing. How do they find you on the internet?
Fanya Mambo. By the way, someone was asking me, what is your Twitter handle? What is your X handle? I told them I created one where I hear my videos go, but I'll admit I'm not very good on X, but Fanya Mambo Kinuthia on Facebook. I think I'm still a little bit old school. Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok. My daughter introduced me to TikTok, and I have. You've
been doing really well there.
Yeah, I hear it's doing well, because like after I do my shows, I never post most of my videos. In fact, what many people see is I finish a show like this. By the time you guys are putting it on your YouTube, the enthusiastic Kenyans cutting where the bites are. And they know those people who have bites and sharing. So I thank them. I love them. I don't fight them. I don't fight anybody who cuts my works and post it. Because they cannot remove my photo and my voice from it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is fine. So just look for Fanya Mambo Kinuthia on Facebook. You can follow me there. And let's engage. Let's keep engaging.
Thank you very much, people of the internet. Until another episode. Bye for now.